So you have to make sure your data is clean and it's accurate and you can put all the pieces together. Yeah, the data will tell the truth if you take care of it. So that's what we do. We use a lot of AI to do this. So we have natural language processing. We'll take a receipt and we can read it just like a human can. Prior to using natural language processing, there was something called OCR, which was optical character recognition. And you had to tell the computer where to go look. So you have to look at this spot in this position for the credit card number. Now with natural language processing, it's just like you or I reading something. It knows, oh, this is the credit card number. Oh, this is the date. We don't have to have templates. Then we use neural networks. And I'm going to go into an example. I'm going to run out of time, so I'm going to go fast through the example, where we use long, short-term memory neural networks to get us to the proper piece of data to use in a calculation. Then we use vector models. We are creating agentic AI components. So if you don't know what agentic AI is, it's an agent. It's where we are replacing a human person, but it is conversational. So if you want to look up something about that, look up the Turing test. Alan Turing was an early computer scientist. There's a movie about him. What's the name of that movie? Imitation Game? Maybe? No, that's not it. Anyway, he's in a movie, and he talks about how, in the Turing test, he talks about how you would be fooled between a person and a computer. And that's what an agentic AI is. You can be conversating with a computer and not know it. And then we use Gen AI, large language models. No clicker. So here's another one of our data scientists, and this we sort of talk about, do we use AI or build AI? And the answer is yes, we do both.
How is AI going to impact data?
AI tools like LLMs are impacting data science from two big aspects: development and production. During development, with an LLM, it's like having a personal assistant. It helps with coding, debugging, brainstorming ideas, even explaining complex concepts when you're stuck. It speeds up the learning and prototyping process a lot. In production, large language models open up entirely new possibilities. Tasks that used to require complex rule-based systems now can be handled more naturally with LLMs. But to use these tools well, you still need strong data intuition and critical thinking. The core skills remains the same. Keep learning and adapting.
Where we calculate the CO2 used by an airplane for a flight. I could talk the next 3 slides for an hour and a half, but I won't. I'm going to try to do it in 5 minutes, just to go fast to give you guys the example. So CO2, everyone's worried about global warming and the changes to the climate. When you think about the way to do it, you think it's going to be very simple. I started my flight in Nairobi, and I flew to New York City. Straight line. How far did I go? How much fuel did I use? But the Earth's not flat. Some people think that, but it's not, right? Earth's still round. So you have to use a different flight calculation, right? And it's called great circular distance, simple algebra. But then other things happen. The Earth's rotating. We have wind, we have storms, so you have to fly around those. So then you have to put in a vector, right? So if I'm flying here, but the wind's blowing this way, so I actually have to fly over here and get pushed over. That's still simple algebra. But now we went from 4 variables to 6. By the time we're done, we would end up with 400 variables that we have to calculate to accurately determine the CO2 used from a flight from Nairobi to New York City. 400. And some of them we don't know. It's not a static data point. So we have to use a neural network to figure out the best possible value to put into the calculation. Does that make sense? So we go from just a few to 400, where we have to use AI to figure out that value for the variable. That's called an engineered feature. That's one of the things that data scientists create every day. So this goes from these 7 steps. It breaks down into this mess, and you can see how stuff goes back and forth. We're talking about the passenger load factor. We're talking about what type of seat the person sits in. Are they in first class, business class? How many pieces are on the seat? What's the total equivalent area of a seat? Then we have to talk about the stages of a flight. I'm sitting on the ground. I pushed away from the gate. I took off. I cruised. I came down. I landed. And I had to get to the gate. All 5 of them burn fuel differently. So it's not just from the time I took off to the time I landed. It's all of those different stages. So then we give the answer. Here's impact. Are you ready? Are you ready? There it is. This is the scientific output. The data scientist says, I created this visual that is the logarithmic TIM, which is the travel impact measure, for a CO2 comparison. This helps to normalize the data and reduce the skewness to make the data more linear. Jason's like, what does that mean? He's looking at it. I work with the guy that built that. I don't know what it means, right? So it's very interesting, but it's not impact yet. So the business user is saying, I have no clue what this means. But he won't admit it because no one wants to look dumb, right? So he's going to say, oh, that's great. And inside, he's not going to use this because he doesn't know what to do with it. Is showing what that last chart did. This is pre-trip, what we thought it was going to be, and this is actual what it was afterwards. And then here they put some other pretty stuff over here for the airlines. So how do we build all of this? How do we go from the raw data through the data science piece to the actual impact where a business user can use it? Right, we do that with DevOps, data science, software engineering, quality assurance, and support services. So this is our program manager. She deals with our team members in Kenya every day, and she wanted to make sure that...
Hi, my name is Tanya Secret, and I have the pleasure of working with the G2 and the Griffin Global contractors. Since bringing them on, we've experienced tremendous growth. What started as a small operation with just... What started as a small operation with just UI and QA teams has now evolved into 4 distinct groups: QA, DevOps, development, both UI and database, and air contract. The contractors I work with are incredibly engaged and truly care about the quality of their work. It shows in everything they do.
To use people in Kenya because it's not normal. It's not every day. Like every day, the outsourcing groups, they're in India, they were in the Ukraine, that's kind of stopped because of the war. They're in South America. So when the opportunity arose, she was reluctant. But now she wants more people here because of the people I'm going to introduce you to, right? These are some of the people that have been with us from the beginning. We've been here for about 3 years. They're leaders, and as we grow, we're about going to double like every 6 months. So in a couple years, there will be hundreds of people here, and these guys will rise up through the organization. So the first one I'm going to introduce, we call him Dev Steve. The team had to give him a nickname. Come on up. They had to give him a nickname of Dev Steve because I'm Steve, he's Steve. We look so much alike, they couldn't tell us apart, so they call him Dev Steve.
So much. Understand here. Yeah, so my name is Yeah, thank you. So my name is Steve Ndeke. I'm a DevOps engineer at Cerebri AI. I want to thank you, Steve, for you giving us this chance also to speak here and also to work, with you. We have really grown. My background, I'm a statistician. I did pure statistics in campus. I know somebody is wondering, why did you decide to do this big switch, from statistics to tech? Yeah, it was not easy, but yeah, it is what it is. So, maybe to paint a picture on what I do, at Cerebri as a DevOps engineer, there's some tools that we use. We call them tech stack. We are heavily on containerization. I know it's something maybe you have heard of or you are yet to hear about the same. So we are heavily on containerization, so we use Docker. Anybody who has heard of Docker? Nice, at least, yeah, you know what that is. And also we use, Docker Hub. That's where we store our Docker images. And also we use Kubernetes. That is where we deploy our applications as images in Kubernetes. We also use, Cloudflare and so many other tools that we use that I cannot, mention them, all of them at this time. And also, I'm also involved in creating environments. In a development cycle, we normally have different environments. We have development environments, QA, demo, and production. Yeah, so this is important because at each stage, there's something that happens. For example, if Evans is developing, he does his testing in development environment. Then after that, it is pushed to QA. That's where the QA come in and, they do the testing. Then after that, if everything is working okay, it now goes to production. In production is where now users start using the tool. So there is need to have environments, and I'm involved in creating those environments. And I'm also involved in building deployment pipelines. We normally use a tool called Jenkins to do the CI/CD. I know you might have heard of it. Yeah, so I create these pipelines that deploy, the application in those different stages. Yeah, just to make sure the whole development cycle is smooth. Yeah, so that we don't delay the client because we normally have the deadlines and everything must be smooth for us to beat the deadline. I'm also involved in release management. Release management is like a committee where we sit and decide, is this version, ready to go to production? So I also sit in this department and also help them, deploy to production. I'm also involved in security. We must make sure our clusters, our Kubernetes clusters, our application are safe, and only those people who we want them to, access those applications, they're the one that are, accessing the application. So in case of security breach, we might have Steve Hatter here with him in the war room. Yeah, so I'm also involved in that, and also onboarding. When we have new team members that have joined us, they need to use our internal tools. So I'm always there to make sure, I give them the necessary permissions so that they can access, the internal tools that we are using, just to make sure everything is running smoothly. And I know you might be wondering, where do I get these applications that I'm talking about, deploying them for the users to use? So we have Evans here, who is our developer, and something in common I have with Evans is we both did statistics, the same universities, different years. We normally meet somewhere and we're like, what are you doing here? And you're a statistician. So put your hands together as I welcome Evans here, to take us through the next step.
All right, thank you so much, Steve. So my name is Evans Ndiwa. I'm a software engineer at Cerebri AI. So as Steve has mentioned, we did the same course back in campus. I was 1 year ahead of him. So right from the beginning, I was trained to be a data scientist, but as Steve, the other Steve now, has mentioned, should everyone be a data scientist? So for me, I was more interested in visualizing things and creating web applications. So I had to transition from data science to web development. So I learned Angular, React. I know some of you guys are doing React in the ongoing cohort. So coming back to Cerebri, we do use Angular for the front end, alongside other tools, for example, NGX charts, high charts. For the back end, we use Nest.js, and our database is Postgres. I know most of you maybe you have heard or maybe used. So my day-to-day roles, let's say our client has a certain problem that they want fixed or solved. So when the problem comes in, we will get the requirements, and once we get the requirements, I will get together with the stakeholders, different teams. We come up with a design. In this design, we say like maybe we have this problem, how are we going to solve it? So I will meet with Steve, we'll meet with the QA, database administrators, see what we're supposed to do, maybe come up with something that will solve the problem that the client has. So once we have all this, we go ahead and develop those features. Once the features are created or ready to test, I will take it to Steve, who will deploy it, and once it has been deployed, it will go to Fidelis, who is in charge of making sure that my mistakes that I've made are not, do not reach the client. So I would like to welcome Fidelis to take over. Welcome, Fidelis.
Okay, thank you, Evans. Okay, as Evans has said, my name's Fidelis Waijimo, or you can call me Wawero. My background is in computer science. I graduated from Chuka University. So as a QA assurance, I am here in the team to ensure confidence, clarity, and consistency in what we deliver to our client. And how do we do that? We do this by testing any new features that our able developer here creates. And we also, apart from testing new feature, we test the entire system to make sure that nothing breaks. And the consistency is there since when the QA was involved in the testing process. We also do data validation, since bad data, bad decisions. So data validation includes testing whether the data is accurate, correct, complete, and all that. Because bad data bring bad decision, and bad decision will bring you out of the business. Performance testing and usability testing is also one of the activities that we do as QAs. So performance testing, we use tools like JMeter. And with this, we are able to measure the speed, the stability, and the scalability of our systems. We also make sure that our systems are user-friendly, and they are user-friendly and intuitive, so that when the user gets into the system, they're able to get the right insights, and they don't have problems accessing the system. We also write automation scripts for our repetitive, to reduce our repetitive manual work. You don't want to get in the morning and test whether the logging page is working every now and then. So we have some automated tests for that. We also do environment monitoring, that is. We monitor all the environments that Steve just mentioned, and we have automated that as well. So in case the environment fails, it's going to send us an email, and we'll get notified approximately within the first 15 minutes, and we'll be able to catch the issue before it gets to the user. Apart from just finding bugs, we also finding and reporting them. We also do track them and do root cause analysis together with our developer here. We also do test coverage analysis. I will just say that QA job is not just for the QA team only. It's a team's work. So that is why we collaborate with all our teams to make sure that we maintain the standards of our softwares and systems. And that's it from the QA's perspective. I'd love to invite my colleague Wilder, who is in the support team, to share with you what she has. That's it. You're welcome.
Thank you, Fidelis. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Wilder. I lead, my background is in actuarial science. I have a degree in actuarial science from the Nyeri University of Science and Technology. I am also a data analyst, a self-taught data analyst. At Cerebri AI, I lead the customer support team. We are a team that provides 24/7 support to their customers. We respond to queries and also work really closely with Tanya. You've met Tanya from the previous video. She is the program manager and also our direct supervisor. So currently we are supporting a process called air audit. So air audit is a process that is designed to help organizations optimize their air travel spend. So how we achieve this is by hands-on data work. We receive travel itineraries from which we extract data, we clean it, and then after we're done with that, we compare the data against carriers and online booking tools such as KUCT and Expedia. So after we're done with that, we move on to the next step, which is analysis. We are able to identify pricing gaps. We're able to uncover missed savings. And then finally, we're able to deliver actionable reports that we send to the customer so that they're able to negotiate better rates with their travel partners. We've also been working closely with the software development team, that is these guys. We want to automate the entire air audit process. So my team has played a key role in translating the workflows to the development team. We have kind of acted as the link between the hands-on process and the development of the software. So we translate the workflows, we kind of identify the edge cases, and we're able to explain to them, like, this is what happens when you encounter such a case, and this is what the software can do to handle such cases. At this stage, we're in the stage where we're using the software internally in parallel with the manual audit, and this is where we are collaborating with QA to test functionality of the software. We validate the output of the data that the software gives us, and just give feedback about the software so that the development team can continue to improve it and refine it. So that is what a typical day looks like in our team, and working with in the support team in Cerebri AI. So thank you so much for the opportunity to share our experience and for your time and attention. I'm going to hand over the mic back to Steve.
I have one. I'm good. Okay. All right. Guys, I would really like you guys to give them a round of applause. I thank these guys every day. My wife thanks them because they allow me to sleep peacefully at night. So, and it starts, with development, right? We hit our development deadlines. We create software that has an impact. He's part of it, right? Evans, we actually call him E2 or E1, he's E1 because we have two Evanses and are on the same phone calls all the time. So they have E1 and E2, but E1 has been with us from the beginning. He is our local leader on the development group, and the chart that I showed, he didn't create it. I actually created that one in our tool because what he built is absolutely amazing and has impact. It is a self-service dashboard. You drag, drop, put the stuff together. People think that's easy, but we have a lot of data. So if he wasn't smart about it and how he constructed the API, it would create something called a Cartesian product and our software would crash. He does an amazing job. Now the next thing is one of the things when you get into IT and you move up the ladder, security is scary. If there is a security breach, we deal with credit cards and credit card numbers, and someone steals it, it's not going to be my problem because I will be fired. I am gone if there is a security breach. No questions about it, right? They have to fire me because I let it happen on my watch. He allows me to sleep at night because I know that they follow all of the rules and enforce all of the rules to make sure that Evans doesn't put something silly in there that lets somebody in and steal our information. And then QA, by the way, the software guys, they don't like QA. They don't, because QA is like the police force for the developers, right? So you write some code and you sneak something in and they find it. And then the developer will say, oh, well, that's a user feature. It's supposed to be that way. Well, the QA people say, no, it doesn't work. It's not the way it's supposed to go. It's not getting pushed forward. And they fight back and forth, and I am always on QA side, right? I'm always on your side, right? And by the way, you always want a mean girl to run QA, right? And the smaller, the better, because small girls are mean, right? See, she's like, yeah, I'm kind of small, I'm mean. She's like, yeah. Small girls are mean, and they're normally right. They're normally right, so I'm always on her side. And then the last thing that allows me to sleep is I know if a customer has a question that they're going to be handled promptly, professionally, and it's going to get resolved. Now, we spend a lot of time making sure our software is right. So a lot of our customer questions, well, you've all heard there's no such thing as a stupid question. Wait until you have a bunch of customers. You're going to get some, okay? And she handles them very, very well. There's a couple things that you'll learn for customer service and technology. There's an error that's called an ID10T. Anyone know what that means? It means idiot. I, D, the number 10, and T spells idiot. It means you're going to get some questions that are really silly. But you can't say that. So you say, oh, well, let me look into that. Wilder has that knack to deal with things that are silly and not make someone feel silly. There's another type of issue called picnic. Everybody knows what a picnic is? Stands for problem in chair, not in computer. Okay? So Wilder deals with things like that. But because our software is so solid, we're able to have the desk do other things. And that's where the air audit piece comes in, which is a whole nother product that led to something that has impacted the industry. Because they're so good at their job, it led to other products. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about data science and AI. I'm going to have you hear from some of the other team members. I think we go back to Jenny. So Jenny is amazing. She lives in she lives in Vancouver, Canada. So think about the time difference. Here, we're 7 hours ahead of my US time zone. And then Jenny is 3 hours further. So Jenny, my day has a time zone of 10 hours of difference. So when I'm on the call with these guys late in the day, Jenny's not even awake yet.
Hello, my name is Jenny.
Hello, my name is
What
Jenny.
What education background
that I have that helped me become a data scientist? I studied actuarial science in school, which is a combination of math, statistics, finance, and some programming. While the degree itself isn't directly focused on data science, it gave me a solid foundation in analytical thinking. What really helped me transition into data science was developing critical thinking, being able to question results, understand that correlation doesn't mean causation, and spot things like confounding variables or overfitting. These are not just technical issues. They require a mindset that constantly asks, does it really make sense? That habit of thinking carefully about data and assumptions is, in my experience, more important than any specific degree.
Worked at a place called the Fields Institute, and she was on a team that reviewed who won the Fields Medal. Anyone ever hear of the Fields Medal? The Fields Medal is the #1 award given to mathematicians. Comes out every 4 years. It's like a gold medal in Math Olympics. So she worked at that company. And I just realized that that is the wrong here. That should be H-E-A-R. I should have checked that with an AI tool. So this is Oscar. Oscar is, he speaks Spanish. He has an unbelievable education background. And let's see what he has to say.
Hello, my name is Oscar and I work as a data scientist at Cerebri AI. I think we are living in a very exciting time for data science. And I would say it's definitely a good career choice for anyone who feels passionate about it. Data science can be seen as a combination of statistics with computer science to solve real-world problems. With different drug dosages at multiple time points to figure out how our genes behave. These days, my focus has been on business problems, like forecasting different kinds of quantities or probabilities. On a typical day, I spend most of my time writing scripts to handle tasks like cleaning and preparing the data, checking its quality, engineering features, training machine learning models, fine-tuning them, and preparing them for production. One of the things I really like about data science is its objectivity. Either the method works or it doesn't. The outcome speaks for itself. It takes the personal biases out of the equation. I'm also very lucky to work with some amazing colleagues.
One of the things
We're
I really
always
like
learning
about
from each
data
other,
science
and
is
that
its
makes the job
objectivity.
even more rewarding. As for what makes a good data scientist, I would say the most important trait is patience. Things rarely go right on the first try, so being able to persevere and keep trying is the key. Looking ahead, as I mentioned earlier, I think we're living through a very interesting moment in the field. Large language models have completely revolutionized this area, since they can already understand and even generate human language. So yes, I think it's a very exciting time to be or to become a data scientist. Thank you and have a nice day.
Jenny and Oscar are scary smart, Nora as well. The reason I could not be a good data scientist is I have no patience, right? I want it to work right away. I need it to work right away. Hurry up, we have to get this done. These guys hear that, hey, how come this isn't done yet? Even though they're on time, right? I always want things done ahead of time. I think that's comes with the job and the territory. Now we've talked a little bit about technology. We talked about what Cerebri AI does. You heard a little bit about the tech stack. But now I want to talk about you guys, right? How do you go from here to being up here? And I cannot stress how bright their future is. So how do we do that? So we'll hear real quick from Tanya, and then we'll talk about this. So we're really going to talk about your choices, your career, your future.
One of the things I'm most proud of is our focus on We actively place people in roles where they can develop technical skills, explore new areas, and build on their strengths. It's not just about finding a role, it's about building careers and encouraging growth.
Education, mentors, ability, and opportunity. So you're here to get your education. What does that mean? Does it mean study for a test, pass the test, know the difference, between a method and a class, right? Learn how to, write good object-oriented code, knowing the 6 tenets of object-oriented development. Take the test and then forget about it, right? That's what happens to a lot of students. It's I take the test, I pass it, I forget about it. Well, don't come into our company, right? Don't expect a great career if you don't understand how things work. So you have to take the book knowledge and put it to practice. That's what sets these guys apart. When we started having resources in Kenya, I expected them just to augment my staff in the US. So it would be, I could give something that one of my senior guys did during the day and have a junior guy finish it at night. That was my thought, right? Just wide out, open on the table. Why did I think that? Because every other place that I outsourced technology resources, that's all they could do. That's it. You guys are special. You speak better English than any other group I've worked with. You have the ability for creative thought in technology. We give these guys, hey, this is our idea, and we want it to work sort of like this on the end, and bam, they make it happen. They provide the impact. That's why they're involved all the way through our process. For release management, other than Tanya being the person that schedules it to communicate with the executive team, he runs all of that today. That was never in the cards when we started 3 years ago. I had no idea that I would run QA entirely from Kenya. I do not use anyone in the United States for QA. Fidelis runs it all. You guys can do that as well. But you have to follow these things. You have to understand what you are doing. Not just cram for the test, pass the test, and forget the information. Okay? Don't even show up for the interview if that's your mentality. Mentors. Mentors are so important. Who has a mentor in their life today? In some aspect or another. I do. I have 6. I have 6 mentors in my life. I have mentors for my career to this day, right? I'm at the top of the pyramid in technology. But what's next? Am I doing the right things? Am I having impact? Right? I'm married to a very strong-willed woman. Okay? I have a mentor who is married to a very strong-willed woman. They've been married for like 40 years. I'm like, I should be saying this, but how do you do it? And his best word of advice, I don't know what you guys say when you get married here. In the US, you say, I do. He said, you have to learn to say, yes, dear. That's what I learned from my mentor, right? And it's kept me happily married for 20 years. So I have mentors in work. I have mentors for investments. I have mentors on how to dress. Debbie's a mentor on how to dress because I would wear things that don't match. You have to have mentors. Now, how do you get a mentor? What does a mentor need to have? So you have to find someone who is where you want to be, right? So if you're in this crowd and you want to be someone that specializes in systems and DevOps, right? Find Steve, because he's fantastic. He is where some of you might want to go, right? Now, the other thing a mentor has to have is they have to be honest, and they have to have character and the ability to see the big picture. So I don't want my mentor to just be a yes person. So Mark and I have a co-mentorship relation. He mentors me in ways and I mentor him. Mark knows I am going to tell him the truth even if it hurts his feelings. He's like, Mark, why are you doing that? It's stupid. And he has the ability to say the same thing to me. Steve, why are you doing that? It makes no sense. It's not the direction you should be going. They have to have that ability. That's why you have to respect where they are. And you have to respect the character in the way they got there. If they got there through dishonest means, you don't want that. Because eventually that catches up to you. Does that make sense? The other thing is ability. Now this says your natural talents and the skills you develop matter, right? Ability is how you use all of that and tie it together. So if you have the book knowledge, what am I missing that gets me out there? Do I have the ability to verbally communicate? Can I communicate in writing? Can I get up and talk in front of a group of people? Am I on time? Right? That's a soft skill. Do I deliver when I say I'm going to deliver? Am I delivering quality? Those are the things that you need for impact. And the next one is opportunity. And I kind of switched gears here, guys. And this just came to me after I got to spend more face time with the team. Because we talk on Teams every day, pretty much. I might not talk to all you guys every day, but I'm talking to someone in Kenya every day on Teams. And the most successful outsourcing group has been India. Why? Because there's 1 billion people in India. So they have a lot of people that can bubble up. But they do not have the skill level in communicating and creativity that you have. Now this is being recorded. I'm probably going to get in trouble. I'm probably not going to be able to go to India again. But I'll keep coming here, okay? Because if you grab this opportunity the right way, you'll change your career, you'll change your future, but the entire country. I'll give you the example from India. I've been to India a bunch of times, a few different cities, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Chennai, they're technology centers. So I was going there between 2005, 2009, been there a few times. I didn't go from 2009 to 2019, 10 years. It was a different country in 10 years because of people like you graduating from school, going out, working hard. And this is where they made the mistake. They didn't recognize the big picture in the opportunity. They were a little selfish, and this is how. So I'm somewhere, I'm a low-level developer, and I get a chance to be called a mid-level developer, but I'm not going to make any more money. I'm going to go from this low-level position to a new company where they're going to call me a mid-level position, but I make the same amount of money. But now, this company's never going to hire me again because I left, and I went over here, my title's a little bit bigger. Then I get another chance to make 50 cents an hour, right? That's $1,000 a year. Yeah, that makes a difference, right? And your mentor said, oh, it's $1,000, you have to jump. So you go. Now, when you were over here, you didn't learn anything new. I'm a junior developer. I moved over for a better title. I'm still a junior developer. I did the same exact thing, right? I have 1 year's experience 3 times. Think about that. 1 year's experience, 3 times. I learned nothing new. Now I go take this promotion. I took this promotion, I'm making $1,000 more, and guess what? ID 10T, I don't know a thing. That's the mistake that they made. You're promoted to your level of incompetence. This guy's up here, he's never going any further. Now we're going to take case B, this guy right here. His mentor said, why would you go to another job just for the title? You're not going to make any more money. You're not going to learn anything. So in case B, the guy stays there. And he learned new things. Now he becomes a mid-level developer. They give him more money. He's in the same place. He's been there 2 years. He's making more money. He's learning new things. He has a quest for knowledge. He wants to make what? An impact. So now he went from a junior to a mid-level. He got more money. He's here for a while. Now he goes to a senior developer or he goes into a management position. You got to make sure you're in a place, in a culture where they're going to train you in how to lead people. They're going to help you get to the next level. So it's your opportunity, it's your responsibility to find those places and those people. So if you guys end up with the mentality of jumping around, you will break what I'm going to show in the next couple slides. Because you guys can be the best location in the world for US technology to come to. No kidding. I'm absolutely blown away. I had no idea 3 years ago Kenya was like this. I had no idea a year ago. So our goal at Cerebri AI is 75% of our people will be here. This is Weimer. Last video. Super smart. If the video plays.
Hey everyone, my name is Weimer, and today I'd like to share a bit about how I found my way into data science. My journey began when I majored in mathematics in university, where I got curious about how mathematical concepts, like differential equations, could be used in image processing. That curiosity led me to pursue a PhD in signal processing, where I dug into how mathematical tools could help us make sense of real-world signals, like audio or sensor data. Along the way, I realized that what I really liked, working with data, building models, and solving open-ended problems, is exactly what data scientists do. So I set out to become one. I believe my academic background helps me approach problems from different angles. If your path doesn't start with computer science or AI, that doesn't mean you're out of place in data science. It just means you bring a different kind of perspective and strength. And often, that's what makes for the most creative and effective data scientists. One of my first projects at Cerebri AI involved predicting churn in the telecommunications industry. We trained machine learning models on large customer data sets to predict which clients might cancel their mobile subscriptions. I remember one feedback we got in particular. The company told us the model flagged a customer who their account manager didn't expect to leave. That stuck with me because it showed how data can challenge human assumptions and support real decisions. So what does a typical day look like for me? It really varies. Some days I'm deep in Jupyter notebooks, cleaning data, or testing out new embedding models. Other days I attend meetings with stakeholders to understand new business problems. More recently, I've been focused on building tools powered by large language models, thinking not just about how those models work, but how they integrate into systems that real people use to combine their domain knowledge with machine intelligence. Getting into data science didn't happen overnight. I started out only knowing MATLAB, so I taught myself Python and SQL by building small projects. Today, large language models can write SQL queries or even generate dashboards, but that doesn't mean you can skip learning the fundamentals. It just means your role may shift. from writing every line yourself to knowing how to ask the right questions, to spot errors and guide the tools. If I could leave you with one piece of advice, it's this: tools come and go. You might learn Pandas or TensorFlow today and something totally different next year. What matters most is curiosity, a willingness to experiment, and the discipline to keep going. So keep building things even if they break. Share what you learn and ask better questions each time. That's how you grow in this field, and that's what makes it so exciting. Thank you for listening.
Is brilliant. PhD, Oscar had a PhD, Nora had a PhD. None of them started out as data scientists. They all found their way to it through other technology avenues. If you are going to be an engineer, a software engineer, you're going to be in technology, I was excited, she walked out of the room, but I was excited to hear that you can get C as one of your languages. Is it required to take C? Is C programming required? If it's not, you should take it because you learn how things work in the inside. There's nothing more fundamental than that, right? And then you can learn any other language you want after that. So we have an unbelievable workforce that found their way into data science. They found what they were passionate about. They took the opportunity. They all have mentors, right? They all obviously have incredible ability, and they all have a lot of education. So I encourage you guys to do that and make the most out of the opportunities, but be wise about them, because here's why. The next thing is responsibility. It's your responsibility for your education. It's your responsibility to find the mentors. If they're not good mentors, get other ones. It's your responsibility to make the best of your abilities. Be self-aware of where you're weak and try to be better. It's your responsibility to make the most of the opportunities, to be wise in how you select your opportunities. So we're going to wrap up with this. So here, outsourcing for India started in about 2000. And in 2025, they have 5.8 million tech jobs. Their growth rate is slowing. Why? Because the communication, the improper handling of the opportunities, and the lack of creativity. You cannot do work the same way that you guys have the innate ability to do. So if we say that it starts here in 2020, and now in 2025, we are at 480,000 tech jobs. So I use those guys that you saw to help me with some math, right? Because it's not just a straight extrapolation. We did some other pieces. And looking in the same period, right? So 20 years from today, the population, which is 62 million now, will be about 95. That's a simple math equation there. But you're going to have 6.5 almost million tech jobs if you do it right. So it's a responsibility for your future, but it's also a responsibility for your country's future. You guys can make such an impact on the world around you, you have no idea. So I think we're about out of time. I think Mark, we have time for a couple of questions and answers. So guys, that's it. I hope you liked what you heard. If you have any questions, just raise your hand and we'll be sure to try to answer them. Feel free to engage these guys as well.
All right, let's got some questions. Let's go.
Okay, thank you. My name is Edward, and I have two questions. One for those guys, and one for you. The first one goes to you. You look very young. Actually, when I saw you, I thought you were students here. And one thing I'm amused with you is that you don't have a background apart from, I think, Fidelis also. who have done computer science. So how did you manage to change career from statistics, from actuarial, and then shifting to your careers? The other one is to Steve. So when you are outsourcing, when you are doing outsourcing, how did you get these people? Were you referred to them, or how did you reach out to them?
Sure. So I'll give you a little history. So I was in some of the places, they already had a relationship where I went to work. So they already had a relationship in Spain with an outsourcing group. So I just used what was there. In this instance, Mark and I, like I said, we've been friends for a long time. We've worked together, same places. Actually, me, Mark, and Debbie all met at the same time in the same company in like 2001 or 2. We all worked at the same place. So, Kenya, Mark was the COO of a company that I founded, and the company was doing great, and the pandemic hit. We were in travel technology, and it kind of wiped out the company. We were able to sell it, but not for what it was worth. So Mark got an opportunity. Mark is a nomad. He's traveled all over the world, way more countries than I have. And he got an opportunity to come out here to set up a Kenyan business because someone had the vision that Kenya would be a great place for technology outsourcing. So Mark was the first guy on the ground for G2. And he started to do that. And then through my relationship with Mark said, Steve, you got to see this. You won't believe it. And obviously I'm like, yeah, Mark, sure, okay. And then we got started, and the people have been absolutely amazing. So that's how we got started in Kenya. But the other places, India was already rolling, but I did stand up in India. We had about 800 people in India when we were done. But we started with like 20.
Yeah, so thank you for that question, and I'm happy you are asking us that question when Mark is here. Yeah, because when I graduated, we normally say if you graduate, just come outside here with an open mind, to learn, because you might not necessarily get a job on what you learned. So I got an opportunity. Steve Hart has been talking about opportunity. So I got an opportunity to join G2 to come and do a training in RPA. I don't know if you have heard of RPA, that is UiPath, using UiPath. Yeah, I remember Mark held my hand throughout that journey, and I decided to use that opportunity, to learn RPA. Then after that, I transitioned to QA. So I did that for almost 2 years. Then after that, I transitioned again to development. I've worked with him in development. Then after that, I transitioned again now to, to DevOps. But DevOps is what I like. So at the end of the day, I settled on something that I like. Yeah, so we just took advantage of the opportunity that we got. Thank you.
And I want to jump onto that and point out how this really goes with what we were talking about. He had mentorship, right? He had education, he had ability, he had mentorship, and he had opportunity. So our culture, Tanya says it in the video, is about growth and finding, when he found his passion in DevOps, I knew right away, right? Because he was already gravitating to it. He had the knack. We used Jenkins to deploy things, and things would be broken. He was figuring it out before the other guys that were already DevOps guys were figuring it out. He was doing it first. So he's like, hey, you want to go work over there? He's like, yeah. And now he's responsible for all the stuff that happens here. Right? All four of those things. Living proof.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Peter Karaoke. I'm a student, a BBIT student here. And I also volunteer as the Google co-lead. So before even I ask my two questions, we have an upcoming event, and I'd love to iterate on what Steve was talking about, the DevOps. So we have an upcoming event, not this Saturday, but the 19th. So it is next Saturday from here. And We are collaborating with the Nairobi DevOps community, where we will tackle mastering CI/CD with GitHub Actions and containerization. My question to you, Steve Hatter, will be, from all the videos that you have showed from the data scientists, there is a pattern, and actually this pattern is kind of a challenge or a problem to the demographic we have here. And we are seeing a pattern where roles are declining for entry level and internships for data science and machine learning. So what could your advice be for someone with a bachelor's degree, or what could you suggest to them, or what resources could they have for them to have a fair competitive advantage with the people who are currently pursuing master's or PhD education? And also the next question is, why is this a challenge to us that are not pursuing PhD and masters for data science and machine learning entry-level jobs?
Okay, guys online can't hear you. Use this.
Oh, I thought online stopped. All right, here we go. So that's a great question. So all of those guys have PhDs. When they were in school, data science didn't exist, right? That's why most of them do not have a degree that way, and they came through it a different way. Like you look at Oscar, who is a PhD in biophysics. I don't even know what that is if he didn't explain it, right? Nora's the only one that has advanced degrees in artificial intelligence. If you are just starting out and you're in competition with someone who has a master's and a PhD, you're starting out trailing. So what can you do to get ahead? You have to market yourself with different projects. So a lot of people in the US, when they're competing for a position, they'll have their projects online, where you can go to Bitbucket, right, and see their projects. You can see the work that they've done. So someone with a master's and a PhD, they're going to have done more work than you have just to get their education, right? They have to do thesis and things like that. You may have a capstone when you graduate, but they're going to have more of those. So you have to use your ability to market yourself. You have to out-communicate people. You have to be positive. You have to be optimistic, because you need to just get the interview, and then it's on you. When you're in the room for the interview, everybody's equal. So if everybody comes out of the interview equal, the master and the PhD are going to win. But if you come out in the interview better, then you can overcome those pieces. So you have to be able to show enough work that they know you're capable of doing this, and that'll get you to the interview. And then you have to shine in the interview. Practice, right? Get with your mentor who is working in that field and go through a practice interview. I'm sure you guys have practice interviews in college towards the end of someone's degree period, right? Where they go through mock interviews, things like that, right? You guys have to do your attachment. Make sure your attachment is for real. If you're in technology, do not get one of the hookups from your aunt or uncle for an attachment. Go get a real one, right? Go talk to G2. Get a real attachment where you're going to do real work, because that's going to make a difference when you're in the interview, and you can say, oh, well, I did that, and this is how this project has a correlation to what you're asking me to do. Does that help? I wish there was a better answer, because when you're up against a master's and a PhD, it really comes down to the interview, and you have to do enough work to get there. Who's next?
you. Should I stand? My name is Edwin Fred Komau. I'm a final year bachelor student pursuing electrical and electronics engineering. I came here because I wanted to see how your company is using AI to provide solutions to enterprises. So my question is, what advice would you give to someone who's just starting out and wants to get into the business of leveraging this technology to provide these solutions to businesses? Yes, thank you.
Great question. AI is an absolute revolutionary state right now. Large language models, they've been around publicly for about a year. And you can't pick just one because they change all the time. So when you look at what we use, we'll use Gemini, we'll use OpenAI, we'll use Claude, and it switches because somebody retrains or someone makes 4.5. So you have to be up on the technology. You cannot get locked in. You cannot have a religious affiliation to, I'm only going to use ChatGPT. The next thing is you have to dig in and really understand the tools. So everyone here use ChatGPT one time or another? How many questions did you ask? Did you ask the prompt one question? Did you use it like Google? You're not using the power of the tool. So the opportunities there are to teach people how to use the power of the products that are there. So you ask the prompt one question, it gives you an answer. Then you can ask it another more detailed question. And then you can find out other ways to influence the answers that are going to help in a certain industry. There's some fun things that I've done with AI that have made my job easier. One is I wish I put this through an AI system because it would have caught that spelling mistake that my proofreaders never caught. The other thing that I do, I had this vendor that was giving us a hard time and they weren't delivering on their service. And I'm typing up this email and I'm trying to sound mad, but I'm not sounding mad, I'm sounding like a jerk, right? So I asked the prompt, I said, help craft an email that lets this vendor know I am displeased with their service without sounding like a jerk. That was the exact thing I typed into the prompt, and it was the best email, and they knew I was mad, they knew I was upset, and they responded in a couple minutes, thank you so much for your thoughtful response, and they fixed the problem, like that. And I've been fighting with these guys on the phone, and they kind of knew I was a jerk, right? But that one email that I asked for ChatGPT to help with the tone helped. If I didn't know how to ask the deeper questions, I wouldn't have known. So I think there's a lot of help that can be done. And as AI gets better, the large language models get better, and they'll be more specific for an industry. So I've never asked an electrical engineering question of ChatGPT or any of the other AI models. We've asked a lot of travel questions, and the answers get better. So you have to dig into the tools, switch tools, and make sure that you're asking more and more detailed questions. Helpful?
Thank you, Mr. Steve. I am Ransfeld Onyango. I have a question. A junior full stack developer, and also within this year, I started my path on data science itself. And leveraging AI, we have these two conflicts which are coming up. The business guys want to limit the input, or to reduce the inputs and enhance the output. And the society where we stand, here we sit here, wants their job. You see several questions, job. And working on a tool for a company now, which is an end-to-end software development tool. And also, it's also an end-to-end data science, data analytics, and also like it is just end-to-end, doing everything. And such a tool, if a company like, let me say Microsoft, just did something some months back, we can remember it, and it is still scrolling in our minds, over 7,000 people. So this is a problem, the society and the business guys. So if such a tool gets into the market, you have these your developers, we have the DevOps, and all of them. How do you handle what the society wants? Because we have the SDGs, employment is inside it. And also inside the SDGs, we want soft life. And how do you balance these? How do you balance this as at now? Because we know that there are several AI tools that you use to automate several works or day-to-day works. And this one also affects this our team. These are top teams who have represented their teams. So how do you balance these things? And what do you tell us as at now? Because within the next 2 years, I know Google will do something, and Microsoft will redo something again. Yes.
Okay, so let me make sure that I understand the question. So right now, how do we balance the use of AI with our teams, and how do we use AI to finish our work today? And in the future, Microsoft, Google, they're going to create an end-to-end solution that will create our products and run our products that are all AI-based. Is that the correct understanding? Okay. I'm going to handle the latter part first, okay? Because when I speak in the travel industry, I speak to a lot of the business people, and they're like, AI is going to eliminate my job. My job is going to go away because of AI. And then it spirals downhill from there. They think that machines are going to come and take over the world and kill all the humans, right? There's movies about that. There's like 10 movies about that if you do the research. But they said the same thing about automobiles. They said the same thing about airplanes, right? Technology is always evolving, and we have to learn how to evolve to use it. Mark and I were just talking about a company the other day called Build. What was it? Yeah, right? And it was supposed to be the end-to-end solution, and it was a farce. Can we do that in 2 years, what you're talking about? Will it be ready? Maybe. But it's just going to be another tool that we're going to learn how to use. So it would be great if we had a product that you could say, put this data in, and build me this website that people can use. That would be a great tool to use, because then I can use that guy over there to build smarter things, right? Because AI can learn, it can read, but it still isn't a human brain, right? So we'll push things to the next level when some of those tasks are taken off of our plate. Does that make sense? So I'm excited about the future. There won't be less jobs. There'll be more. There'll be more technology jobs because of AI. There will not be less. You heard it here first. Well, maybe not first, because I didn't make it up. I've heard that myself. But anyway, about now, AI is tricky to use in the workplace. We get what's called a hallucination. It's a mistake that AI makes. Not too long ago, you could ask AI to say, well, you can still ask this question, give me a proof that 1 + 1 = 3. And it'll do it. It will do a mathematical proof to tell you that 1 + 1 = 3. We know that it doesn't, right? So it'll create that hallucination. Well, that's what we spend a lot of time protecting ourselves from today. When we're using AI, we have to make sure that the answer is correct. We have to verify it. It has to go through QA. You heard all the data science people up there, talking about that, right? So we use it today. We help push it forward with our agentic AI that we are developing now. We had a town hall yesterday where Oscar was showing us a demo of the agentic AI that is booking flights for people and making sure they get the best rate available. But it still has issues where, we're trying to fly from New York to Philadelphia, and it comes up with a flight. No one flies New York to Philadelphia. They're like, it's like going from here to Mark's house. It's, I don't know, 15 minutes away, right? So New York and Philadelphia aren't quite that close, but AI will still make mistakes. So we have to be cautious in how we use it and make sure that we're correcting and checking everything that we use it for. Who's next? I'm nervous that one of the doctors over there are going to raise their hands. So I think we have one back here, Mark.
Good afternoon. I'm David. So I have a question adding to that. So the use of the tools, the use of the AI models that are available to us, some of them when we are trying to learn them by actually using them, because we know we are the problem solvers. The AI only enhances the solving that we already made. So in the problem that we are facing is, for example, using the AI to access some information. For example, there's a new tool a CLI tool from Gemini that is really assisting in organizing the documents internally in the local machine. But for example, when I want to use Claude, because it can relate some other learning agents, it becomes quite expensive to try and learn because you're paying for the use of that model. Right now when you're starting up, what can we use to faster our learning process?
That's a tough one, right? Because the state-of-the-art pieces you have to pay for, right? So, example, in our company, everybody gets so much money per month for the tool, but you get to pick the tools. So like I have a ChatGPT Plus, and then I have Gemini, someone else might be using other things. The only rule is everybody can't use the same thing. So that's how we find out what tools are better, and we can switch our subscriptions, they're month to month. When you're doing it without money, you're using the older model, right? So I think like ChatGPT, I think it's 4.0 is the free version and 4.5 is the paid version, something like that. I can't remember what they are. So the good thing is, as a student, they're normally everybody on a level playing field. But the best advice I could give you is to make sure that you're jumping from model to model to model to model to find out which one is the best, and that you're not running into unexpected hallucinations. It's tough when you have to pay for it. But they have to make money to keep the lights on too, because it's expensive. Millions of dollars to train one of those models. Millions. So the computing power is just amazing. It's actually creating a power shortage in the world. So nuclear power is coming back. If you want to be a physicist and work in nuclear power, that's coming back, by the way. So next question. I wish I had a better answer for you on that one. That's a tough one. But I'll tell you what, I'll ask the guys at home, and then I will send you the answer, okay? And we'll make sure it gets shared with you, because I don't have a good one for that. Another one, follow up.
I'm just curious, you've mentioned that you're now 3 years old, the company that is. Oh, in Kenya, all right.
2016 in the US.
All right.
So about late 2016, about 8 years old.
Okay. I'm asking as an aspiring founder, did you face any issues as you're coming up, maybe funding, scaling, and how did you navigate those?
Sure. So the company I'm at now, I'm not the founder, but my previous company, I was one of there were 2 founders. The CEO is the founder, so I'm the next level right there. We're self-funded, so he has an investment group that invested in the company. We use a lot of open source software, but we're very selective in what we pick. So for example, our database is Postgres, right? You guys have probably heard about Postgres. When I started out as a developer, it was DB2 was the database platform. Extremely expensive, right? It had to be to handle 13 terabytes. But as technology catches up, or there's a need, there's always someone creating it, like Postgres and MySQL. They were both open source databases that grew into a place where they could handle multi-terabyte, multi-user, multi-processing machines because people couldn't afford the expensive ones. So we were able to start with Postgres, and now we're on an enterprise version of Postgres, but it's still free, right? So we're able to, we spend the most money on people. That's where all of our money goes. So we've put about $30 million into our technology, but it is all really into people and computing power. So we're all cloud-based. We use AWS. We do everything to keep our AWS costs down. And our other big bucket that we spend money on is security. So you have to have secure applications. So we know at what point we need more hardware. So we know when we're going to scale there. We have resource plans that when we hit this number of customers, this much data, that we need to scale up the team. So we have to be prepared to scale and know what our inflection points are. And make sure you have enough money, right? So that's why you want to make sure you have impact, because with impact, it's easy to get customers. Make sense? It's good to be your own boss, by the way. Next question. Someone on the phone wants to ask a question.
I'm glad that you have realized the talent that is in Kenya. And you are partnering in this summit. You have partnered with G2 and Teach2Give. They are renowned of offering attachments and facilitating internships. Do Celebrity AI offer the same? Or if I may like to get an internship, can I be able to get an internship at Celebrity AI?
So everything we do is through Teach2Give and G2. So if you reach out to the guys at G2 and you qualify there, then we would definitely use the resources. There's a program that we're part of. Forget the name of the boot camp, where we get guys for 90 days and beat on them and see what you guys are made of, and if you can cut it, then we let them know. So yeah, there's definitely opportunities there, but it goes through G2. And I think the attachment is super important, that you find one that you get to dig in on and do real work, because that sets everybody apart. That's how you take care of the master's and the PhD's degrees, is you have a real attachment that has teeth.
Okay, hello, good evening. My name is David Anyona, currently in my final years of study. I had a question. So what's your best advice for us students so that while using AI as a tool, we cannot use it to bypass our learning process, so that we can use it as a tool to enhance or rather help us, but not bypass the entire learning process? Thank you.
That is a great one. I belong to an organization called the Global Business Travel Association. I'm on their technology committee. I am the chairman of their AI subcommittee. And we have an annual conference every year, and it has learning tracks. In these learning tracks, there's all kinds of different topics. There's like 10 tracks, and we get about 1,000 submissions to speak in these tracks, and there's only 300 spots. And this year was the most difficult year to review those, because everyone, in the AI track that I have to review, how did people write their submissions? They used AI, right? So, and they asked the prompt one question. They said, here's my outline that I need to fill out. Give me 4 learning objectives that I can speak about to travel managers using AI. So they had AI write it. So when we go to review them, They're all derivative. Can't tell them apart. You know, the wording's a little different, but the value was horrible. So we had to write the ethical guidelines in using AI for your submissions. And then we had to give them a manual to say, this is what you do and how you use AI as an enhancement. So you still have to have critical thought, right? If you do not have the critical thought in what you're going to deliver, what you want to accomplish, don't go to AI yet, right? Have AI fill things out, like finish it for you, the finishing touches, but you have to have that critical thought. AI is not the critical thinker for the human mind. It does not replace that. So you have to dig in. You have to think first before you go to AI. If you use AI to answer the questions for you, it's going to hurt when you get out into the marketplace. So you have to have that critical thought. You have to dig in. You have to go through the steps and use AI to polish and help, not to do the work for you. And I think there's detectors now that can tell if you used AI. I think there needs to be more than one submission or something like that. You guys using any tools like that? She said it's a secret. She's not telling. So.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Collins Maturi, one of the trainees for the quality assurance in Teach2Give, the cohort that is currently running in DeKUT. You have talked about Cerebri AI, and I think it's a wonderful thing you're doing. You haven't talked about how do you get, where do you get the data points from the companies that use the travel data points that you get, that you use for your data analytics in your company? And for the second question is, do you use any proprietary software? And for the final question is, how do I get a mentor?
I'm sorry, what was the last part?
How do I get a mentor?
Okay, so we'll do the mentor stuff first. I'm sure that there are mentors in the school, professors, that have real world experience that you could ask, right? You have to seek out a mentor. When you have your attachment, another reason to have a real attachment, something you can sink your teeth into, is you will find a mentor there, right? I'm sure that there's people that are at Cerebri today that could mentor you or whoever, a colleague. These guys and girls are really pushing the envelope. They're definitely ready to be mentors, and there's other people that we work with. I mean, these guys are, you know, the next group of technology leaders. So as Cerebri grows, they're growing with us. I'm going to make sure of that. I'm not going to let them have that opportunity to get that bad advice and go somewhere else. The data points, there's a lot. So in the travel industry, there are a few companies that are called travel management companies, and they manage corporate travel. So think about Expedia. Everyone's heard of Expedia? Kayak. They are for leisure travel. They do have a business piece, but they're specialized companies that large corporations use, called travel management companies. The second, and they send us a data feed. Some every day, some real time. There's, I don't know, hundreds of travel management companies, 5 big ones. Then there's the credit card companies. So everyone's heard of Visa, MasterCard. Well, they're issued by different banks. American Express is another credit card. So those guys that issue the credit cards, we receive data from them. Then there's another type of business that's called an expense management company. The largest one in the world is Concur. There's another one in Burse, and Burse is the one that bought the company that I founded. They send us data. Then there is the HR data from the company itself. So who's the employee, what's his employee number, what's his title, what's his company email. We get that, we bring it in. And then there's the corporate structure of what department they're in and how all those departments roll up together. Then we have a couple others like Uber for Business. Am I leaving any out? I think that covers most of them. There's a couple other small little pieces that we get. We use a lot of APIs. We use a Google API for geospatial information. So when we get a restaurant or a hotel, it'll come with the latitude and longitude. So we bang that against Google and it gives us the address. So, we use an API for currency conversion because a lot of the non-US transactions will come in whatever currency. So it could, if it's a Kenyan transaction, it'll come in shillings, and then we have to say, okay, this transaction occurred on July 11th. We didn't see the delayed data until July 13th, so we have to use the July 11th conversion rate to make sure that it's converted properly. So there's a lot of different data pieces that we have, but they're the major ones. Next. Was this mine that I put here? Was this yours? I didn't want to steal your water.
So good evening. My name is Maina. I am a HR student. I've just heard you mention about HR. I'm just curious of how well you have, being a tech company, how well you have embraced technology in doing your HR activities. I see you have some good human capital here. I'm just curious if you have a human doing the HR activities, and if the HR activities have been done in technology, in a technology way, and if it is in technology, what are the tools that are you using to manage your human capital?
I don't have a great answer for that one because we outsource HR to another company, right? So all of the tracking and salary and accounting and all of that, we're a technology company and we want to spend every second that we can on developing our technology. So there's technology products that just specialize in HR. So we outsource that to those companies. So we don't do it ourselves. How are we doing on time, Mark? Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is David Karanja. I'm a finalist in actuarial science. And I wanted to ask, do you think AI will be the next comfort zone? Will it reach a point where we'll be so dependent on AI that we won't be creative and have that critical thinking in doing our solutions? For instance, the trend we have of vibe coders, will it reach a point where techies will be so dependent on AI that they won't be able to write their own codings?
So I think AI will open up business, especially small business, for more people. Some of the easy, routine tasks, small business, like we were talking earlier, I have this business idea that I want to create. I'm going to build wooden figurines. How do I sell them? That person's going to be able to go to AI and say, I want to build and market this product, create me an application, and it's going to do it. And it's going to allow them to get paid. That's coming. It's close. That might be something that Microsoft and Google have working in 2 years. But to do what we do with all of that data and how to make it correct and then how to visualize it and where we can go with that, AI is not going to replace that. Now, we use AI coding assistants today. Our velocity in development is probably 50% faster than it was before. And our base product is done, and we have some advanced concepts, but we already have the advanced concepts that are beyond that, that'll be built on the things that we haven't built yet. And we're way ahead of what AI is going to be able to do for us. So from a technology standpoint, we will use AI to take away the easy, basic, mundane things. we're always going to have that critical thought to push things ahead. But for the general public, AI will make things easier and more available for them, where they couldn't use technology before without using someone like us, someone like you. They'll be able to do that. But the hardcore things that have huge impact, still going to need the critical thought. But overall, 25 years from now, will the general person have as much critical thinking? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. We'll see. But we'll all still be necessary. We'll just be doing cooler things that we haven't thought of yet. Does that answer it? You agree?
So, good afternoon. My name is Francis. You have taught us on many things, and you mentioned something to do with interviews. I want to request something. Can we do a demo of an interview with one of the guys that you have come with for about just like 2 minutes? We do like a mock interview. We see how we are supposed like to the questions like you ask in your company, and then we are supposed to respond. Can that happen?
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Jason, would you like a job? Yes, please. All right, let's go.
Yeah, thank you.
Guys, I don't know if you know Jason. Jason is a professional comedian. He's going to come up and tell jokes. Honestly, Jason is Chief Information Security Officer for Griffin Solutions. He's a pretty smart guy. But, you know, an interview would start with, you know, just a greeting, hey, how you doing, right? And he would, you know, we'd make sure you make eye contact, whatever the customary greeting is, you know, handshake, or, you know, I'm not sure if it's a fist bump or, you know, I'm not sure in Kenya, but in the US it'd be a handshake. Steve Harder, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And then we'd sit down and say, hey, I reviewed your resume, I like what I see in here, and then I would start and ask him some questions. Some of the questions will be technical. Some of the questions will not be. And it all depends on the level of the person, the level of the interview. Like if it's a junior developer, I'm not going to be the guy interviewing the junior developer. But if he was coming in as the CISO and I'm the CTO, I would definitely be interviewing him, right? So let's just say I'm a manager and he's a mid-level developer, okay? So I'd say, you know, Jason, I saw that you used Java and Strut in your last job. Can you tell me a little bit about using those?
Sure. The biggest problem that I had to solve at my last job was how to figure out how to track airlines and make sure that we stayed profitable for the company. I had to figure out which type of technology was the best for this application. And after surveying different tech stacks and making proofs of concept, I chose Java because of its flexibility and its scalability.
You know, that's a great answer, right? He was confident, he looked at me, and he gave me a reason why he used that technology. But then we would switch into some of the other stuff. And this is where most people that are coming into a technical interview can answer technical questions. And if you can't, we're not even going to ask the next ones, right? Now we're going to ask really about your abilities, right? So I might say, so that's an interesting problem. How long did it take, you know, start to finish from concept to production?
It took about 6 months, all said and done. I had to wait to get certain approvals from my boss, and we had to do a cost-benefit analysis and analyze impact. But once we began development, we were able to finish developing in 3 to 4 months, at which point the QAs came in and changed some of our scope and focus, and we were able to ship within 6 months.
Great, that's a pretty aggressive timeline. Now, he just said some things that I'm going to trigger on. He gave me that little thread to pull on, right? He said his boss, right? So I'm going to ask him about his relationship with his boss. Then he also said something about a cost-benefit analysis, which is a valuable thing to be able to do. Now, Was he part of it, or did he just throw cost-benefit analysis at me? So I'm going to dig into that. And then the last thing he said, that QA changed their scope, right? Which happens, it happens all the time, right? And if QA is run by a small, mean girl, you're going to listen, right? So, Jason, so when you had to, have the interaction with your boss and you had some timeline challenges there, was that easy to do, hard to do? How did you properly influence your boss on your needs?
My biggest challenge is my boss wants everything quickly, and he wants to make sure it makes a lot of money. And my challenge was giving him realistic expectations, explaining to him the technical difficulties in a non-technical way that he could apply to the company, and to show him why it is worth investing the extra time before we ship.
That's a great answer. Like, that's a really, really good answer. You can see why he's so young and moved up through the ranks to be a Chief Information Security Officer. So then the other thing I would ask him, I'd say, so you were involved in the CBA, the cost-benefit analysis. How much hands-on did you do with that? And what's the payback and the ROI on this?
I attended several meetings with our accounting department. They ran the numbers, but I helped explain what our input was going to be and estimate costs. And all said and done, we ended up just making budget.
So, good answer, honest, he didn't inflate anything and he didn't oversell what his involvement was, which is what I would expect someone in the technology to do. They're providing input and then they know what the result was, but they didn't do the cost-benefit analysis. Another great answer. And then the last one I would hit him with, from what he said, is, so your interaction with QA, did they increase the scope, reduce the scope? Were there a lot of errors? What happened there?
Me and my development team had a lot of good ideas, and our product was very feature-rich, but this increased the scope a bit too far outside the needs of the business. And QA discussed with our boss and decided to take 3 or 4 features and delay them for future releases while we focused on the main functionality.
Another great answer, right? It's the truth. It's what happens all the time. So one of the funny things that you'll hear as you get further along is, oh, well, our product's going to be done. Software is never done, ever. There's always another idea. There's always, we can take it further. It goes on and on and on. And it's common for a company to hold back features to put them in their next release because it makes them look like they're ahead of the game. So he answered from that one question. I was able to dig into some other ones. He gave me great answers on all of them. And now I would ask him some personal stuff. And this is the one that trips up a lot of people. What's your greatest fault?
My greatest fault is answering interview questions off the top of my head in front of an audience.
Another good answer, right? The worst answer is, I don't have any faults, right? Okay, great. See you later. Get out, right? Now, I'm not going to say it that way, but the guy that says that is just, he's just full of it, because everybody has something, right? Like if I asked Debbie what my main fault is, she's like, you don't shut up, right? You mansplain everything. You need to be quiet. That's what Debbie would say. But in an interview, I would say, I have a tendency to not value the input from introverts. I'm an extrovert. I think out loud. And if people are not moving and thinking out loud like I am, I have a tendency to discredit them, and I've worked very hard to make sure I get the opinion from all of my team members. That's my answer to that question. I don't know if it's a good one, but it seemed to work, and I get the jobs that I go for. So, but everyone asks that question. Everyone asks that question, don't they? And then they'll say, "What's your greatest strength?" And then I'll say, my greatest strength is that I learned how to listen to introverted people so I can value their opinions along with everybody else. So it's a strength and weakness together. Thank you, buddy, for being put on the spot.
Can I have the job?
Oh, yeah, you're hired for sure.
If I can say one more thing, I also do interviews at the G2. One of the most important things I'm always looking for is, why are you passionate? Are you just doing technology? Maybe your parents told you to do technology. Why did you choose actuarial science and not statistics? Or if you come to me with, you show me your GitHub and it's filled with C and there's no Java in there. I want to know, why do you like C so much? Was it just because that's what you learned in school and these are school projects? Or what is it you do outside of school that motivates you? In many ways, it's good to know your strengths and weaknesses, but I know I can predict how well we can work with you and where I can put you at the company if I understand what your passions are. Kind of like how the other Steve was passionate about DevOps.
Perfect. Jason.
Hi everyone, I'm Sylvia Moroge. I'm going to ask my question to Evans or Steve, one of you to choose who to answer me. The question is, I'm from a different career path apart from tech. So I'm asking, how can you guide someone, like, do I need like to go back to school, start again, like take computer science to fit to the tech field, or actually I can maybe take the opportunity through the Teach2Give and do maybe the training and get the skills and able to grab the opportunity or maybe to secure the job? Thank you.
All right, that's a great question. So maybe I'll give you a little bit of my story of how I got into tech. I would say it's an interesting story. So as Jason has said, they will look for passion. So first of all, I will say look into your passion. What do you like? So for me, I was a music producer. I'm still am. It's something that I do in my hobby, as my hobby, I mean. So while working as a music producer, that was in Nairobi back in 2018, 2019, I realized there was, by that time, Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Music were not in Kenya. So I asked myself, what can I do to solve that problem? So that's when I started learning how to code. I used YouTube, I used W3 schools. I was just Googling around, finding different YouTubers, learning with them, Brad Traversy. There is another guy called Net Ninja. I learned a lot from him. So you don't need to go back to school, but there are a lot of resources online. So you can go online, search. Nowadays you have AI. There is AI. You can just maybe ask AI to outline you, like maybe you want to get into web development, maybe data science. It will give you maybe a roadmap, and then you can follow that roadmap and get to where you want to be. That's it.
Let's do one more, Mark.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Vincent. I work here at the university. And you've had a lot of talk about the AI space and everything. So mine was two-part. One on ethics in AI and how it looks like, because these are students and we put a lot of emphasis on academic integrity. So our professors here, when they're grading papers, when maybe some of them complaining that students are just churning out AI-generated papers or something like that. Yeah, guys haven't done their research. Then the second one is legislative. In terms of like policy, from where you sit, either you or Jason maybe can answer this. How are governments moving? What is their pace? When, for example, you set up shop in Kenya, are you engaging the Ministry of ICT? What is the law saying about AI around the world, in the EU, in the US? And are they catching up, or is the tech running away from us, like the way crypto did?
Great question. The way crypto did, that's insightful. So the second part, I think all governments are trying to keep up. I would say they were equal to the pace of AI until the large language models came out. Example I would use is self-driving cars in the US. So Tesla, everyone's heard of Tesla, right? Tesla has, proven their technology of self-driving cars. You put in where you want to go, it's going to take you there, it stops at lights, stop signs, traffic, bad weather, all of it. But you still have to have a driver in the seat. There are some models that are being tested with driverless taxis in a couple cities, small towns in the US. And the legislative branch has caught up with that. They're working on the legality to take the driver out of the seat. And then Gen AI shows up. And now in a lot of the US colleges, they teach courses on AI ethics, on how to properly use AI, one, in the marketplace, and two, it's in their college intro. Everybody has that 1 credit course on how to be a college student. So they talk about how you can use it and that ethically how to use it, and that if you just get your degree using AI, when you get to the guys like me or Jason, we're going to see right through it, and you're only going to hurt yourself, right? That's probably the biggest thing. If you try to get your degree using AI, you're only going to hurt yourself. If you don't write that paper or learn how to solve that problem or do that proof, or maybe using an AI code assistant is allowed. I don't know, but it still has to be your structure, right? So an AI code assistant will take your style and it will mimic it. But if you just say, hey, write the code to do this, it's easy to tell. Especially if a couple people do it, right? If all three of you guys put in the, hey, I want to solve this problem, you're going to get the same answer. And what if AI came up with the wrong answer? All three of you have it right. You can't completely trust AI to give you the right answer. So what was the first question, first part? It was the AI as a student. Yeah, and the other one was the legal piece, right? Okay, I covered them both. Mark, we cut off one person. One last question. It was way in the back somewhere. Who put their hands on right in the back? Yeah, it was way in the back. One of those. Let's finish right there. Last one. I came 8,000 miles, so I don't want to leave anybody unanswered.
Anyone knows he came 8,000 miles because I told him.
It's true. It's true.
Okay, hi everyone. Okay, my question is that how can you come up with AI platforms which are safe, secure, and reliable? Because I was listening to some news concerning McDonald's hiring platform, whereby hackers managed to get the personal information of everyone, including their telephone calls, their email addresses, the chat logs that they used to have. So how can we manage to come up with these AI platforms, let's say the bots, which are safe, secure, and reliable, and hackers can't get access to the personal information of everyone? Yeah.
So it sounds like you've just created your business idea, right? Because that's what needs to be done. It's a race. The hackers are always ahead of security, right? So what do we talk about 0-second attacks, right? We used to talk about the one-day attack. We used to have a day to figure it out. Now we have less than a second, and they use AI to figure out how to resolve these breaches. But they're using AI to figure out how to create them. So it's a never-ending battle. I don't think there is a single answer. Like, you have to, legally, you have to make sure you do your due diligence, that you have everything secure, that all your stuff has been checked and rechecked, and all of your networking stuff is locked up. All of your code is written the right way, but they still find a way in. So you have to be on top of it. It's always evolving, but there's not one app, one answer, one way to do it. I wish there was. I wish we didn't have to worry about hackers. I wish we didn't have to worry about fake news. But the good thing is, it does create some job security, right? So right now, the hottest thing to work in is data science and artificial intelligence. Before this wave, the hottest thing to get your job in was cybersecurity, right? That was the previous hot wave. So, all right, you right there, right? You had your hand up? You're the last question. You're the last one.
Hello, my name is Audrey, and my question is, as an AI company currently focusing on business travels and analytics, do you see a potential for your AI technology being used in other industries like food, healthcare, and agriculture?
What a great question. The answer is yes. We are already working with transportation logistics for the wholesale food industry. So we have a project that has just started. I can't say too much about it, but we are using artificial intelligence to figure out, it is doing a lot of things. So you think about the variables of how fresh something needs to be, how big the storage is on the shelves, how big the back of the store is this truck going to stop at one store or multiple stores? Is the truck refrigerated? What's the optimum route? How does the stuff come to the distribution center? I mean, I think we're at like 1,200 variables, so it's definitely perfect for AI. So we definitely have our eyes on other markets. And how we got into travel, we actually started, you heard Oscar or Weimer talk about something where we were doing sales propensity, where we were looking at, is someone going to renew their cell phone plan? That's how we actually started, and then we migrated into travel. And now what we're doing in travel is taking us into other markets, absolutely. All right, that was it. I want to say thank you to you guys. I wish you guys the best of luck in your future. What you guys can do for yourselves and for Kenya, you have no idea. I am blown away. I had no idea that, one, Kenya was so beautiful, because we only see stuff on National Geographics with, animals. We don't get to see the people of Kenya. We don't get to see the city. I grew up outside New York City, and I flew into Nairobi, and I'm like, I expected like 2 or 3 big buildings and, maybe it's to be spread out, but it was amazing. And I had no idea that the food was so good. I had no idea there's a plush region in Kenya. This is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been, with smart, beautiful, happy people. Everybody's smiling. They're teaching me, I've learned how to, I don't know how many, let's see, what words? I learned poli-poli. I learned 4 or 5 ways to say hello. Learned how to say thank you, you're welcome. White guy, I learned how to say white guy. I think that's about my vocabulary, but it's getting better every day. And I wish you guys the best of luck in your career. Just take it, run with it, and make sure you focus on impact. That's going to make the big difference. Hopefully you guys go to G2 and I see you in the future. Thank you.
All right, folks, before we close today, I want to share a message from you, from someone who's been really instrumental in putting not only this AI event together, but the G2 and the champion, really, of Kenyan talent. He was the person that kind of got this all started. He couldn't be here in person, but he's been watching this show today, and he wanted me to read something to him. This event really moved him, and he wanted me to read something to you verbatim. So this is from Matt Turner, our founder. And first of all, I want to thank Steve and Debbie for traveling to Kenya for the AI Summit. I want to thank DeKUT for being a great partner for Teach2Give and providing us this future. My mission, because I love Mount Kenya region, and my mission is to show the best of the best from this region to the world. The Kenyans you've been introduced to today, they are the best of the best. If we show average Kenyans to the world will not keep coming to Kenya. Okay? We have to show the best of the best, and more jobs will come to Kenya. Push yourselves to be the best version that you can be. It's not just about tech ability, but as you've heard from Steve today, communication is just as important. As I've listened to your questions, some of you speak clearly and ask questions properly. Others do not. As you look around the room, there are 10 to 15 people in this room that will be the best of the best. Matt wants to know, his only question is, are you going to be one of them? Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the attention. We're going to take off, but we're going to leave some of these young people here. If you've got some specific questions to ask them, please do so. But we can't thank you enough for your time. We wish you all the best, all the luck. It's going to be a little hard work. We're here to make it happen, okay? Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
That's a good note, brother.
Okay, the Kimathi University is a precursor to what used to be Kimathi Institute of Technology, which started in 1978